topic that we were just going to discuss would just be like, I guess it would be related to the traumatic things that we see within our depictions of black media, and this just kind of came up because the way that we look at things, we see a lot of just negative depictions of blackness, for lack of a better word, where it's just like we see things and it's just violence towards black people, or we see things that have to remind us of prejudice, racism, slavery. Like, if you just think of like some of the things that we all sit around and watch, like you have all these new shows that come out and things like that, and they always have to harken back to that one thing, like a new show on HBO, Lovecraft Country, where it's sci-fi, horror, or whatever, but at the end of the day, it still has to be rooted in segregation.
And in the first episode, let's see, they're not allowed service at a restaurant. They're then chased by a local racist white militia with guns in a shootout. They're then
by militia, you mean racist cops?
No, they weren't cops. They're just regular people.
Those just white
dudes chasing
the first chase.
And then they were in Sundown Town, a racist cop. Sundown County chased them, and they were taken into the woods by the cops.
But they were gonna be shot
to be lynched. All this happened in the first episode. This show's about monsters and Lovecraft and Cthulhu and monsters and weird sci-fi shit. Why can't we just?
I haven't watched it, so
yeah.
I'm not trying to spoil the whole show.
I really tell you. I mean, listen. Why can't we just have a show about monsters with black people? Why can't we have Black Harry Potter? Why can't we just have Black Star Wars?
Just because then we would say it's forced too.
Why?
Okay, but
because then we would call it this catering. Because it's
wait, no. I'm saying like, why can't just one of us should create Black Harry Potter? Because a black.
But why does it have to be all black?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying,
why can't
we
just
have
why
stories?
can't it just be black people in a story where it's just focused on
like there's nothing about their race.
Yeah,
like,
it's not about
nothing about
the
their race. Like if you're reading the book, you wouldn't even like it has nothing to do with just a story.
Yeah, I know, because unfortunately, like
that's
not
what
the world.
sells.
That's not what sells, but that's not the world we're in. You get what I'm saying? Like because a lot of what the reality of especially in the U.S. like it is, the racism is very embedded in this country. Like even starting out with like you're comparing like Harry Potter to when like the whole cast was mostly white. Shout out to Dean, who's probably the only black guy on it.
Yo, shout out to know his name.
Dean Thomas.
Yeah, so it's all white, so it was nothing like out of the ordinary for them. That was the norm for a very long time. Black people weren't even allowed in cinema outside of being like the Sambo or whatever role they. And sometimes
Harry
white people
Potter
play
was
that.
written in 1990. Like I don't know if I agree with this. If Harry Potter was written in the 40s,
I'm still listening. I'm sorry.
I mean, let me finish.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying it started out. You said Harry Potter, that's why I say Harry Potter. But taking it back further than that, like when black people being in movies, a lot of the times it wasn't as the main character. It was kind of like as a joke almost. Like it was very like the comedic relief, and still to this day, you see black people cast in roles as being as a comedic relief person, never really like the main character, and that's why it was important for you to bring up Chadwick earlier, just because that movie was different. But like that before, like we didn't get that representation. We didn't have our stories told, and so a lot of the times when you saw in the '90s, like a lot of the movies that were coming out were about kind of the slave days too, like about roots. You had the Amistad, like you had a lot of movies that kind of covered. That started to break through and cover those stories. And so there is like a lag. So now we're kind of, a lot of the shows that we're seeing now are about what happened maybe in the 60s and the 20s, civil rights. That thing has become more popular because our stories weren't being told. And I don't know if this is the message that the directors kind of had in mind, but as a black actor, I think a lot of the black actors who, like Chadwick Boseman, who often jump to the front to like play these roles of Jackie Robinson, of Thurgood Marshall, and the other guy who plays I forget his name, like jump to the roles that have these stories told. So yeah, it kind of sucks if we can't just sit back and watch a TV where, hey, black people are all powerful in charge. Like Black Panther was amazing. Like that was it's good to have
good black movies.
It's good to have those movies like that, but at the same time, you can't, like in my opinion, you can't really count out those other movies that really want to tell our stories because for so long we were muted.
But we've had that story's been told over and over.
But it's not told enough because look what's going on. It's not told enough.
What do you mean?
We're still racism is still here.
Dude, I think
that's not what one Lovecraft is directed by Jordan Peele, or one of the, I don't know which one it is, one of the Key and Peele guys. Black people are making these shows, and the reason why I think you're being naive when you're. These shows are being made because that's what wins Oscars. 12 Years a Slave, all that stuff. Color Purple, dating back to the 80s. That's the stuff that wins Oscars. Those are the only type of story that Hollywood will look at.
That's because they're moving stories. They're moving stories, but they're moving stories, but they're also stories that want to be heard and are deserve to be heard, and they're also very relevant.
So the only thing that's relevant about black people is pain. That's what the problem. Like, why? Why can't
it's the story of African Americans?
That's not the only story about.
It's the
African
main
Americans.
So what's the only story about? What's the only story about? What is the only story about Jewish people?
First of all, you're missing.
No, I'm just asking.
That's complete bullshit.
No, I'm just saying. Up until this point, the only thing that people always talked about was what? The Holocaust and all that stuff. And you look at movies and you talk about comics.
Can I tell you why that's incorrect?
I'm listening.
Woody Allen is one of the most celebrated directors.
Jewish people blend in.
Like,
that's probably problematic.
No,
but I'm just talking about when we talk about movies and we talk about shows.
Let me finish my point. Jewish culture, Seinfeld is literally Jewish culture, but you wouldn't know that. Just a show about Jerry Seinfeld and his friends. But most of the show is about him being Jewish and his parents but that's just their story.
He just happens to be a Jew.
He just happens to be a Jew. That's all I'm saying.
A lot of times to the average consumer, you can't tell, and that's probably.
I'm just saying I'm not debating that. I'm saying that was a thing though. Like that was a Jewish story. That was something that was hot. And people watched it, right? They loved it.
Okay, so
I'm just saying whatever he's
but there's no like that's fine. I'm saying, but that's a normal story. It's about Jerry Seinfeld. Oh, I can't date this woman.
Okay, what about Blackish then?
Okay, Blackish. That's
okay,
cool.
so
that's cool.
Okay, well, cool.
That's
Blackish
cool.
and Seinfeld. So we filled that box.
Okay.
Now let's go on to a pain box. So when we talk about the Holocaust, when we talk about X-Men or some shit like that, comics, all the shit.
So would you say that there's way more in the pain than there is not? I think it's very heavily skewed towards pain. And you can say that's not my experience, but I'm just saying.
I mean, it is because it's still to this day pain.
To go back to Dante's point about Lovecraft Country. H.P. Lovecraft is a person who just made shitty stories about scary monsters. I just don't know why you can't just have a black guy in a story with just scary monsters. I don't know why you have to add all that and have to sit there and watch someone almost get lynched and watch races, nigger this, nigger that, and it just gets tired. That's all I'm saying.
As a different layer.
Well, just in general though. Think about it like this. This is like my perspective on it. If you consider the fact that even when we have stories that are regular, people don't gravitate toward, and I mean black people, sometimes we don't gravitate towards them just because there isn't any pain, but that's also a problem. Like a movie that came out recently, The Photograph. The Photograph came out earlier this year, and I always said I like The Photograph, and I thought it was a good movie, and it's just a regular love story. And it's just about two regular ass niggas, and there's like nothing. But I'm just saying, there's no race in it. There's nobody dies. There's no hood shit. There's nothing there. It's just two regular ass people. Like think about just like a rom-com with like freaking Ben Affleck or something like that. That's exactly what the hell it is.
Thank you.
But then when I tell that to people, they always be like, it sounds boring, and it just becomes like I need something more in it, and it's just like, but bruh, like think about it. If you're just a regular ass person, most of the time you're just doing regular stuff. Your life doesn't have that extra to it in order to get it there. That's what I'm saying. It's just like it's the forced feel that we need to show this sometimes. I'm not saying it doesn't have to exist.
Like Black Panther is good. That's why I like Black Panther. It's the story about, and listen, they talk about racism in that. They make the colonizer joke. You can't ignore it, but like the story is not about that. It's just about black people in Africa, in Wakanda. Like, so I'm not saying you can't have these stories. Glad we told a story about Jackie Robinson, James Brown. That's all great. But the only movies that get Oscar buzz are what was the movie with Marshall Ali and the white dude, and they were driving
Bill Station. We ain't got to
talk
about that, bro.
Those are the movies that get this Lovecraft Country song. Fair, I'll give you that. Lovecraft Country.
Intersectionality too, though.
Lovecraft Country. That's probably gonna win a ton of awards, but I mean, like,
or Watchmen.
How many awards?
Watchmen won a bunch of awards.
How many awards Black is gonna win? And Watchmen too.
Black is get some awards.
Yeah, Black has won awards. What are you talking about?
Is it gonna win?
But Black is
gonna win
Golden
Golden Globe. Is it gonna win Golden? But that's not the point. That's not the point of the story. That's not the point of the show at all.
I mean, that section is fucking heavy.
So I'm just kind of like, cause I get the point. Like I get like sometimes we want to just see something like where we don't have those issues, see a reality where racism isn't a thing. But that unfortunately
isn't a thing.
It's not even.
I mean, but what do you
just? Why do you have to get beat in the head?
I just want to answer Dante's point about. You was talking about
the photograph.
But I think I would argue that maybe it's a thing that I've seen this movie before. for whether it be black or white. Like
You seen it? Well, you ain't
like
seen
that
it.
type of movie.
Okay,
Like how many times have I seen a love?
But
I'm just saying,
how many
what do we get the how do we get the girls' attention?
No, I understand what you're saying. In terms of like the trope, yeah, in terms of like the regular love movie trope, I get you.
Mm-hmm.
But typically when we see that, it's just a couple of white actors playing that stuff out, and they just have a regular ass life, and they ain't even focused on. It's just about the love story, and that's why I just kind of say it's like, you know, with a black movie, it's like, yo, a lot of times we don't get to just have a love story. Like when we got to sit around and think about our new movies that are coming out, it's going to. Bro, there's a new movie that's gonna come out, from what I heard, about Jason Mitchell playing the dude that gets shot on the day of his wedding. Like we just, like I'm just saying, like it just, and I'm not saying we don't.
Back to what
but I'm not saying we should. I'm not saying the stories don't have to exist. But I'm talking about there is a general lack of balance. It has to be acknowledged to where it's just like.
But there's a lack of balance between the black community and the white community in general.
But why are all our stories gotta be
okay,
about us dying? Like, what the hell? All the ones that are gonna be
black schlock should be able to exist. Like that movie with Omar Epps and Neil Alone was a terrible movie, but it was just a normal fucking.
No, I mean it was bad because it had a terrible budget. It wasn't
Are
probably.
you saying it's a regular black? It's just a regular bad movie.
That was a BC cinema movie, bro. Like,
I'm not talking if it was good or not. I'm just saying it should be allowed to exist. Those movies should be allowed to be made. Because white people make them all the time.
I get that.
No, I agree.
I know
they should be allowed to make
them. The reason
them.
why they should be able to make them, but the reason why they're not good because they're uninspired.
I don't care about them being good. That's not what I'm talking
So
about.
what do we want? A charity? We just want a movie. We just want a charity movie because we're black. Let's put the same.
I just don't feel. If I want to watch
So
something
this
about
point,
black,
that's why
people,
BET exists. So if you want all black,
okay, so BET exists, cool. Why can't those movies be in
So
theaters?
you're
Like, I don't
advocating for
understand.
more avenues to see our story, like
Yes.
our movies.
Our
just
story's not
movies.
just black pain. Like, have you been whipped by a white person? Have you been almost lynched? No, we have multiple stories. Like, I don't understand.
You have been.
If
Please
you
don't.
have, okay.
I mean, what I'm saying is like every time, like when you consider the black person in America, when you consider the black person story, whether it's the Cosby Show, which showed black wealth, whether it's the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which showed black
Those
wealth,
are great shows.
it comes down to it shows racism to some extent because that's our experience.
Okay, to some extent.
That's what people understand. That's what people.
If you
relate
give the
to.
elevator pitch to any of those shows, will racism ever come up? No. That's what I'm saying. Like those stories, you can talk about racism because it's part of the black experience.
Racism is
but
going to come up regardless because it's black people being rich.
it isn't.
White people aren't black people being rich. Black people with wealth. That's not a common thing.
Not every episode about the Cosby Show is about racism. There's a black family. That's what I'm saying. Lovecraft Country, every episode is about that.
But how many movies? So you're saying, are you guys advocating for like all black cast or something, or like?
No,
what are you guys
I'm just
saying?
saying a variety
Black
of
cast,
black
but
stories. That's it. They're not
Or even for like notice to come to more black stories, bruh. Every black story that gets a freaking boost is about some type. Like it's usually about slavery or something like that, and which kind of sucks. But it's just like think about it. But then the last few years, all the movies that typically get the black buzz, like Aaron said, I think it's like Green Mile, not the Green Mile,
something.
Yeah, something about Green. Shoot, even the Green Mile, when you think about it, it's about a black man in prison. Like 12 years a slave.
Like, why does that have to be the you have to clear this hurdle for this to be a respected movie?
Even
TV
Monster
show,
Ball is
whatever.
about racism.
Like, it has to be a racism element like that. Why can't you
I really can't. I just can't say that's our experience, so I can't see how you can like mute that.
Not say mute.
You get what I'm saying? Like, if you're black,
I
it's
don't understand
war.
what you're missing. What my point is, like.
Alright, so this is what Aaron is trying to say, I think. Aaron is saying that there needs to be a black love story, there needs to be a black crime drama, there needs to be a black, all this type of stuff.
But only black people, or
I don't care about that.
because there's been that.
But the thing about that
a lot of Denzel movies weren't racist, racial based.
Denzel.
So the problem about those is that now we get into the whole segregation of movies though, because then it's like, oh well, we gotta, since there's been a white love story, now we need a black love story. It's like, bro,
I'm not talking about filling quotas.
Huh?
I'm not talking about filling quotas. You don't have to have.
But I'm just saying, like, that's what I'm saying though. Like, we our niche, or not niche, but our you know what I'm saying, the biggest thing that you can relate to when it comes to something on the screen to that is still current to this day to the black people is what has gone on and what has not been still spoken on to this day about what the fuck happened in slavery. Like, to this day, we still tiptoe that shit.
What goes on
Who was tiptoeing?
What do you mean, bro? If you go walk up to the average fucking white person, they will not. No one acknowledges this shit, bro. Like, what do you mean? We still fight for this. people
understand. Like,
bro, there's still people protesting to this day about this shit, bro.
We know that. Okay,
so that's what I'm saying. My biggest thing is
so do you talk about slavery and that's just something that's on your mind 24/7? That's what I'm saying. No, you go. Why can't there be a show about you going to work and the funny thing is happening at your job?
Why happens? There's movies like that. There's stories. You ever heard of a man called Kevin fucking Hart, bro? Like, what do you mean? Like, what are y'all talking about, bro? Like, there's people like Kevin Hart that exist. There's fucking black comedians that exist.
But ultimately, it always comes back to them being black. It always comes back to them being black.
Listen, there should be more Kevin Hart. There should be more than that. I just think it's skewed to one way. It's skewed to black pain. Then that's it. You look at the fucking news. That's what it is. Like, fuck. The biggest black story about black people getting killed. You know, black people doing a lot of cool shit too. Sure, timely topic, whatever. But Black America is built on black trauma.
So you know what it took for the pandemic to become a secondary.
But that's the thing, though.
So think about this. All these movies have come out over the years. Like you said, it's skewed to black pain. Yet we're still having these issues. So do you think people should stop making those movies now?
No,
should not make as many of those movies. I think those stories need to be told more than ever.
I have no problem with people making the movies. I get
I'm tired.
I'm tired, but
they need to be told though.
Like you keep saying they need to be told, like they're not being told. But like my point is, like,
continue
why are those the movies? Those are the ones that get the Oscar buzz. It's like those are, you to get an Oscar to get a fucking Golden Globe.
Because they're very unique. They're eye-opening.
How are they unique?
They're not unique.
I'm saying they're unique to the.
They're eye-opening.
They're eye-opening, but I'm saying they're no one else.
Why? Because
because Asian, no white, no
it's pain and suffering. Yes, that's unique.
But I'm saying that is very unique to us, though. It is very to the person that is very ignorant or that's blind to it, never really known about it. It becomes.
Okay.
I hate to say this, but it's exotic. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there you go. You just.
I'm just saying. But that's the point, though. You have to answer your point.
Wow, Margaret, look at that. Those niggers are suffering over there. Yeah. Okay. There you go.
But I'm just saying. But it can't. Just because it's exotic doesn't mean it's not eye-opening.
That's my point. Okay, but I'm tired of being like I don't
know.
But
I'm saying. Just because it's exotic doesn't mean it's not eye-opening, bro.
Why is that the
only thing that's eye-opening?
That's my point. Why is that the only thing that's eye-opening?
Well, that's a deeper issue with racism, obviously, but we still battle to this day. Why is that eye-opening? I don't know.
White people aren't going to come to watch
60 plus years. Why is it still
they're not going to win Oscars.
Basically, this is what you're saying. Like, oh, I make shitty music, or I sell crack and people buy it. So shit. I mean, like they buy it. So why would I change my way? Not sell crack. No, they're buying it.
I don't know.
That's literally what you're saying. Like, this is the only thing white people want to see, so we gotta keep making it. This is what they like. So.
No, I'm saying we're making it because it gets people's attention.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So, because racist. Like,
so
I had no idea.
What would you like for to happen?
I just think there should be more. There should be more pies. I shouldn't have to only have 3 choices of pie. Maybe I want cherry pie, blueberry pie.
But then you're living in a society that is divided, and you're giving into that.
He wants to escape. I mean, to be fair, let me play. I get where Aaron's coming from, because a lot of us watch movies to escape from our reality. So we should be able to see black representation even in those movies that escape from our reality. Like, yes, we deal with racism. Yes, those are the headlines. Yes. A lot of the times that they push these.
I don't even, because that's not even what I'm saying. Like, it's fine. You can't ignore racism.
No, but I'm saying
Blackish doesn't ignore racism. Insecure doesn't ignore racism. Like, Black Panther doesn't ignore racism. But that's not the main purpose of the show. Just use Lovecraft Country and the Green Card, whatever movie. Racism, the main villain in these movies is racism in some form. I'm just tired of that being the main villain all the time. Why can't it be something else? Why can't it be capitalism?
It's still the main villain, Aaron. Like, it's not. It hasn't gone anywhere.
So what is the villain?
Every day is
2 shows.
What do you mean?
Well, Watchmen.
Same movie.
Watchmen.
Oh, that's the racist one.
Watchmen is another one. Like, it's a movie about superheroes, and then it's not just that. Like, I'm just using those because they're sci-fi movies, and we don't have a ton of sci-fi movies. They're just us. But the ones we do, we gotta go back to 1920 and showing somebody getting lynched, or we gotta go back and have somebody get dragged in the woods, because you can't just. My favorite part of Lovecraft Country was the first episode when she was singing with her sister, and they were just talking about their black life. Why can't the story be, oh, this is my black life, I gotta go find my dad. I just go find my dad. And I find monsters along the way. Why the main heel, the big bad, have to be racist white people have nothing to do with the story?
Well, not even to answer this question, but just in general. I understand what you're saying about basically, you know, the stories still need to be told because it keeps happening. Definitely does need to be told, but at the same time, it's like, yo, we've been telling people these stories for years.
And nobody's fucking listening.
And
how
I
many
got
movies
you,
we
but-
had?
But my thing
But I'm
is,
saying,
what do you mean? Like, you're talking about slave movies and
Not just
and
slave,
lynch
all-
movies.
no,
Like, what is more to be told about
Not
lynching?
slave. I'm talking about the Boys of the Hood type movies, all the Menace to
Oh,
Society
that's,
type, like all
that's
those
not
movies.
what you were talking about. That's
No, I'm talking about black representation, the black experience. Like
what
people
I'm
being disadvantaged. Like racism is embedded in all of this shit. We're poor and we're having like.
So you think the point of Boys in the Hood was racism?
It's because of racism that they were
It's in the
those
background, but
situations.
the racism had no.
So,
impact on the plot of the
Boys
movie.
So you just want to watch hood movies? Because
Huh?
that's what the reality is. Black people are
Boys in the Hood
disadvantaged.
was about young black men growing up in the fucking
And just living
In the
life.
hood, and why are
And
they
not
in the
living
hood?
life, not
No,
living
not
life.
sunshine and rainbows.
No,
Yeah.
y'all are missing what I'm saying. It's a nuanced
which is
conversation.
a black struggle, which is a black.
I got it. They're living their life.
It was a great fucking movie.
Racism is literally not the main villain. The main villain, if not officer, white guy, I hate niggers. No,
Yes,
let's not.
It was not the main villain, but it was not a key component. In the
There
movie.
was no main villain in the movie. They just lived life. They got
It's
shot.
not about the villain. It was a key
Oh.
component in the movie, though, was it not?
Bro,
I'm trying to remember.
it's a
What you
backdrop.
mean? You had a whole. What was it? What was it? Cuz the black cop and the white cop. They were together.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Like,
I remember that. Okay.
Come on, bro. Like the
Racism
reason why
is
they're in the
everywhere.
hood is because of racism and systematic racism and a black man being impoverished.
Let me give you an example of this. I'm watching Peaky Blinders right now. The show is about England in the 1920s after World War One. Everybody is poor because everybody is poor because England lost a lot of money in that war, and everybody has PTSD, and everybody has issues that are related to the war. So the backdrop is World War One, but the plot of the story is not about World War One. That's what I'm saying.
But
Yes.
guess what they're not covering though during that time, Aaron? Where were black people in 1920?
What does that have to do with the show?
Because you said the show was set during that time. Black people can't have those stories of being successful in the 1920s unless it's some type of fiction.
Because
Because
that's not what happened as an example to counter his point. I'm not talking about that at all.
Well, he brings
That's
up
not
a
what I'm
good
saying.
counterpoint,
And that's
man.
not true because, like, we just talked about fucking Lovecraft Country was set in the same time period. And they had a whole, half the episode is just talking about the black people
'Cause they
living
were
in this city.
segregated.
Okay, so why can't the story just be about their life? Yes, clearly they're segregated because of racism.
But
no happy times. in
Their
70s.
kids, their life, Aaron, no matter how you
they
put
did
it.
have happy times. When they
That's
work together
what
in
I'm
their family. They
saying.
all work together.
No, it's not. It's
That
not
is not a
a
happy
completely
time.
happy
You wanna
time.
fucking
Y'all want to be in
live in
segregation?
No, in a black community maybe.
But no.
But I'm just saying.
So
So
go talk to
yes, it's a key component.
Listen,
But yes,
no.
we can talk
Listen,
about black person's
listen,
life during
go-
that time. But I guarantee you, racism
Bro,
will come up.
God.
You can't avoid
Call your
this.
grandma, call your grandparents right now and say, were you just unhappy 24/7? No, yes, life sucked because of racism, but there were every
I'm
day.
sure the prisoners in
Oh,
jail
man.
have happy days too. But you think they're happy about fucking prison?
Wait, that's
They might have a basketball league they play in, but I guarantee you,
That's an overstatement. You don't think they have good days? You don't think they have good times with their friends?
That's
and
the
their
point
that's not
of the
what we're
fucking
talking
show
about like
because
that, but
there's
that's
a
not what I'm
variety
saying.
of things happen every day. There's different, every day in your life is a different plot point, different things. Oh, today I'm going to the store. Oh, today my fucking dog died.
But who wants to watch
who the fuck
that?
wanna watch that shit,
Who
bro?
wants to watch just...
Alright,
Even
so
if
wait,
it was all
wait.
white cast, we wouldn't want to watch that shit.
I mean,
Nobody
okay,
would.
Yeah,
we
I'm
can
just
do a little
using an
time
example.
shit,
Are
watch some
you
dumb
just
shows,
being
bro.
facetious over
No, but I'm just saying,
Alright,
dude.
It's a good conversation. We don't agree. This is a good conversation.
It's a key
I
component
enjoy this.
of our fucking history.
Nobody-
our
You
lives
can't avoid it.
that you
at
cannot
all.
avoid.
Nobody
you cannot tell.
is-
You cannot tell a story about a black man right now in America.
Oh, yeah.
So every episode of this if Peaky Blinders was a black show, every episode has to be racist about Sheriff
No,
White.
it
I
have
had
to
to
be
be
racist.
That's what I'm fucking saying.
No, but I guarantee you, it'll have Irishmen in the fucking pub.
With audio, goddamn, we got-
I guarantee you, it'll have a fucking Irishman in
But
the
every-
pub or some other fucking shit that corresponds with that fucking time or that type of demographic. So what do you mean? It's part of their fucking DNA. It's part of their culture. It's part of their fucking race.
Honestly, I think there are a lot of shows and a lot of movies out there that only cover the black experience. I think if you don't want to see something, then don't fucking watch it. Like, I think that's really what it is, because these stories have to be told. Like, yeah.
So
like,
you have to have racist people chasing.
In the 60s, yes, because that's what happened.
In a movie about in a movie about monsters and aliens, you need that.
It's about monsters and aliens in the 60s.
And racist white people with guns chasing you.
In the 60s, you gotta understand that. That's the time period it was.
So literally every day. So I call my mom right now. So every day of your life, you're chased by racist people with guns.
No, Aaron, but that is.
That's literally what I'm saying. That's why I don't understand.
But it's not every day in the show that they were chased by racism and guns. In the second episode, they weren't chased by any racists at all.
Yeah, in the second episode, they were in a fucking castle with racist white people who were whatever.
Like it's science fiction, so we can't argue fucking science and reality right now at this point.
Right.
But we
I'm
are
saying it's a science
arguing that the
fiction
key
movie.
component
Why
of
do
the
you
show is racism, and it's a key component of our fucking black story.
So please, all I'm asking you, call your parents tomorrow and tell them every day of your life in the 60s.
Nobody's saying every day, Aaron. Nobody, even
Okay,
in Roots.
okay,
Hey, listen.
You get what I'm saying?
No.
Even in Roots, there were happy times in that movie. There was times on the plantation when they had good times.
That
Bro.
movie
It was
is
some
different.
funny
That's
points.
what I'm talking about. Literally, the villain, the heel in that movie is Roots. It's about slaves. That one is literally about racism. Yes, I get what I'm saying. But like, if you can set black stories in the 60s without the Jefferson. Is every episode about Jefferson about racism? Is every episode?
That's not set in the 60s, first of all. And racism does come up.
You
You thinking about Sanford and Son,
cuz. The Jeffersons, the 60s, doesn't fucking matter. Like, is every episode about racism? Is every episode about racism, the Jeffersons? No, sometimes the episodes are just about George Jefferson doing whatever, doing this, doing that, trying to get, like, that's what
he
I'm
was
saying.
talking about the man alive. He was talking about alive.
It's a backdrop. That's not the main villain. That's what I'm saying. Yes, you can't ignore it, but it's not the purpose of the story.
But
The
the
next
next
time the
same
Jefferson-
thing we can talk about
the
the
next
boys
thing-
in the hood is they were impoverished and they
Hood
want to get to
niggas.
the.
That's what white people love. White people love that shit. Hood niggas.
You know what I'm saying? So they want to get to the east side, right? You know what I'm saying?
So discuss the plot. What is the plot of Boys in the Hood? Give me a synopsis of it.
Niggas in the hood. Like, that's literally what it is.
Okay. So
boom. The plot of Boys in the Hood is young black males who, during that time, and still probably to this time, are seeing traumatic, their friends or people being killed. So again, that trauma that you see in the beginning of your life as a child plays a key role throughout your entire life. When you see your friends get killed, you see drugs being peddled on your streets.
Your dad's not around.
Your dad's not around.
Whatever.
You see people trying to break into your house. You don't have any
And that's
security.
the same thing I'm saying with Peaky Blinders. Yes, that is the backdrop of the story is racism. Yes, that is it. Literally, the reason why black people are poor and disproportionately poor is because the backdrop of systemic racism. Systemic racism is not a sentient being that comes to your door and takes money out of your wallet every day. No, it's just it's a system of shit that's in the background of everything. It's
going to differ from a lot of people because some people like you're saying, like they want to see, and I agree with you. I agree that there should be stories where they just show, because we go through a lot of stuff like in the black community, like especially today. They can definitely make movies about us today. But I'm saying it's a lot of people out there who can't really watch those stuff because they aren't real. They can't relate because there isn't an element of what black people actually go through. Like, oh, why is this black person? They can't buy into it. A big part of it is having black people in the audience buy into it. And a lot of black people can't buy into just ignoring the racism aspects of it.
So you can buy into My Wife and Kids?
I could buy into My Wife and Kids, but I'm pretty sure they had episodes and stories about them being black.
That's what I'm saying. Not every episode. That's literally what I keep saying. Not every episode about that. It's a show. It's a sitcom. That's literally the back
But how many more My Wife and Kids do we want, though? Do we just want to keep
because we have a million white wife and kids. People like sitcoms. Like you said, that's what people like. So why can't they like black sitcoms?
I guess it would be like, if you think about it, just in terms of even talking about we talk about Chadwick Boseman and all those things in terms of representation and equality. In order to balance things out, yes, there are painful white stories as well. Those can't be overlooked. Fine, I understand that. But if you just look at what they have the fair number of things to balance it out so that we don't ever have to just sit around and think about... Yeah, I know, I'm just talking about, I'm talking white people right now. Yeah, there is a fair number of things to balance it out so that you don't just think about white pain. You think about a whole...
Because white pain is...
I'm not saying it's equivalent, but just hear me out. Let me finish my point. My nigga. So what I'm saying, though, is They get to build a fucking universe. Why the fuck don't we?
Thank you.
That is
There
the
you
biggest
go.
thing that's
There
overlooked.
you go.
No, nigga, we don't. Before you fix this, tell me that we do. I know we fucking don't.
We
I
don't.
watch the same type of shit.
You're right.
That's not fair.
We should build.
I mean,
We
okay.
should build our whole universe,
I
right?
know, but then I get that, and I think we are in a way, but at the same time we push
But
back.
I'm not
because
saying that
it's-
don't
I
exist.
feel like we always get into this. It's like who came first? You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like this has been done before, so we can't go in the past and say, oh my gosh, like you know what I'm saying?
When they make those universes, 60s, 70s, when Marvel and
Nigga,
DC
they
comics
still
did
making
that.
universes today on TV if you look at shit. They get to tell all the fucking stories they want. We don't always get to do that
That's-
shit.
that's
We
just-
get proud
that's
as fuck
America.
every time we have a show like Atlanta come out. That shouldn't be the fucking case.
It should.
Everything
It
that
should.
becomes a
I
big
know,
show
but
here,
it's-
most of the time, it's like fucking Watchmen and shit like that, where it's like, yo, niggas dying and shit like that. It's rooted in that. I'm just talking about prestige TV and what gets awards and what gets fucking noticed. In terms of that type of shit,
Because it's a different lane.
I'm just saying.
It's
In
a
general,
lane that can't
but
be
even-
copied.
But even if you think about it, the prestige TV that's white ain't always about their fucking pain. It just gets to be some regular casual shit like Louis.
It's not the
Literally,
white experience.
I got you. I'm
literally-
saying we have more stories to tell.
The
That's
literally
not
the running
fair. That's
joke,
my thing.
the running joke of Seinfeld is literally like everybody else's life is fucked up except Jerry's. Like it's literally a joke every episode. You're like, damn, everybody's fucked up except for me. Like.
But I'm just saying. No, I'll say this. Like I'm not trying to say that the story shouldn't be told. It's not
that's what I'm
that.
saying. Oh, yeah.
They should be. But goddamn, we have more stories to tell than fucking a nigga got shot.
I think we
It's
just
like
Until
that.
the narrative change, I can't.
But I also think we
what's-
are discounting how many stories we do have that
But
are
I think
not
that we don't
paying
get to
us.
tell enough.
Like
Like-
we get told, yeah.
all
What
of
do
our,
you mean?
all of the
You got
black
to-
experience is pain, my
We
nigga.
talked about
We're
My
not
Life and
celebrating.
Kids. We talked about Sister. Can we talk about Will Smith? Can we talk about Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Cosby Show,
Can we
all
talk
that.
about Jefferson?
Yeah.
We talk about all these shows. One on one.
These
The
are
shows that
You
you go on Netflix right
The
now.
story was fucking awesome.
And these are great shows that aren't celebrated. Maybe celebrated by us. They're not on the
I
level of
can't
other
see you on
shows.
Netflix right now. You put fucking Moesha. You put fucking.
Supermarket Sweep is on Netflix. Like I mean, what is that?
But
What
you-
what is that?
I'm saying motherfuckers will gobble that shit up because it was
Alright,
a great
maybe-
story.
maybe
That's
Black
why
people
Black
will.
people
Black people will.
will.
But your point about the Oscar, that's not gonna happen because white people don't care about our experiences, bro. That's the whole.
Well, they
issue.
care about our pain.
They do. No,
they're intrigued by it.
welcome to America.
Yeah.
They've been caring about
Nigga,
us.
I've been here. I know
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
So that's
Fuck that. Why I gotta keep telling them that story?
No, so you're.
Do you want to change
Why
it?
do we have to-
Well, what's changing by me telling him 1,000 times I've been in slavery, I've been hurt? What's changing?
Obviously, it's working, my nigga. Have you seen the last?
Nigga, I'm
No.
still seeing niggas
Honestly,
protesting this
I
shit.
get that. I get that, but I'm saying, like,
those
before
blacks
we-
say fuck this shit. I'm tired of hearing this shit.
I'm
This
just
argument's
saying,
going nowhere. to be
before
honest
we
with you.
were, I feel like, yes, we've taken some steps backwards, but at the
I
same
ain't saying
time,
take
I've
steps
never
back.
seen
I'm taking steps forward. I'm just saying they still don't give a fuck about us.
Look,
So
let
what else
me
do
say
you
this.
wanna
Let me
do?
say.
Well, let me tell the story I want to fucking tell. Then if you're not gonna give a fuck, then I'm gonna tell you what the
Honestly,
fuck I want to say.
My point is, like, I wouldn't even care about the Lovecraft thing if it wasn't Jordan Peele and black people who made this shit.
Right.
That's what I don't understand. We have the power to make our shit now. So why are we choosing to make these things? That's what I don't understand.
Well, you would have a
That's all
problem
we
with
did.
it if it was a white director, because then you would
Nigga,
say
I would
it
expect it
wouldn't be
to be
authentic.
honest.
So it's
I mean-
damned if we do, damned if we don't. At least we have some creative direction on whether or not, okay,
I get
hey
it.
buddy,
And also-
producer, we're going a little
also,
too far
I
with
think-
this racist shit.
I
right
think
here.
you're going to the extreme and you're just being naive to it. Because, like, I don't really
I
think.
wouldn't
I don't.
quite
Like,
How am I
don't-
going to the extreme?
I mean, my point is, like.
I'm glad you have an opinion on what the fuck we think.
Okay, fine, sure.
Wait. Why am I going to the extreme for saying?
Because or maybe you're both. I feel like you're both being extreme. Like when you're saying like, oh well, the black trouble just pain. Like not every. That's what I'm
rooted
saying.
in this fucked up system, bro.
And
That's
I'm
all I'm coming.
telling you, that's what I'm agreeing with you. That's why you keep missing my point. I'm saying yes, in the backdrop of everything is racism.
But y'all aren't giving
systemic
examples
racism
of what else there is.
I get what he's saying.
I know we got
because-
Black Love is very unique, and you know what I'm saying. Like that is a story that I think I do agree that needs to be told more. Absolutely. But what else do you want to?
There's been so many movies about black love.
They're
bro.
just so. Why are we eliminating the black?
So,
love?
do,
We're talking
so
about.
please,
I'm
I
talking
just
about
want somebody to
movies,
flash out
monsters.
to me. Do we want photocopies of what white movies were in black people?
Fam, I don't even.
Is that
care.
what we
I
want?
don't even care about using white movies. I just want.
Not white
I-
movies,
I-
but I'm talking about genres of, you know, like Dante. What is it? Trope?
What did I say?
Whatever.
Thriller,
Sorry,
sci-fi,
I lost my-
We had those.
space,
Get out.
space epic. How many space centers do you have just black people in the world? Why can't we have fucking Chronicles of Narnia with black kids going in their fucking grandparents' fucking wardrobe and going to a special place? Why can't we just have that?
Damn,
Where was they at before they went?
There's a movie with Oprah.
All I'm trying to say,
You can set it in 2020 if that's the case. Just set it in 2020. Fine. I don't care. Don't go back in time. I don't care about the time.
the sad part is 2020. 2020 is the same shit, but I get what you're saying.
All right.
I get it.
I'm gonna tell you what I did today. I woke up, I got on my computer, I did that. I was not attacked by a racist today. So sometimes you're not attacked by racists every day. That doesn't happen every day.
I get that, but eventually you will. Eventually you will come to the realization you're a black man.
Okay, so we'll have you're right. So we can have we can have like 5 episodes where we just don't get hit by racism. That's what I'm saying.
No, that's true.
That's all I'm saying.
That's true.
The
But
first
it comes
episode
up.
doesn't have to be that. That's totally fine.
So you just want it to be in the background. You want it not to be in the forefront.
It can be in the forefront. There can be plenty of stories that are in the forefront. There should be plenty that are not. I just don't understand why the Holocaust is not the main plot point.
They've been pushing that a lot too. Side note, sorry.
I mean, I'm sure. Okay, I can just name you Annie Hall,
Amazon
Seinfeld,
joint.
plenty of just shows with Jewish leads where, like, I'm just saying, like, yes, pain sucks, all this and that, just that we can tell more stories. That's all.
I get it. I get that.
Okay.
I agree with that to an extent. I'm sorry, and then you got revved up because it's a lot of. It's not really
like
we're all feeling the same frustration.
None of us are discounting black people.
I get it.
It's not to say that it doesn't exist. The biggest thing that I always say is, look, I guess that's why I made the whole comment about why people get to build a universe. We should get to have and I know the world isn't perfect, and I know the story needs to be told, and I'm not trying to say that, but it's just like, yo, there are so many parts to being a person. We don't even gotta put color in it, to be honest with you. There are so many parts to being a human being that we don't have to just limit it in terms of what gets valued and what doesn't. The only parts of black people that get valued in the eyes of others, it doesn't always have to be in our eyes, but in the eyes of others, shouldn't just be our pain. It shouldn't just be the traumatic things we go through. And even if we are showcasing this pain, if people don't learn, then at the same time, it does become cyclical that we're going to keep showing these stories and then nothing things don't happen. So it makes it confusing and it does make it frustrating. And that's why I said with this topic in general, it is frustrating just to think about, the biggest things that get put out and they get talked about by multiple people and that extend into the white circle end up being black stories that deal with some type of pain. Not to say that other people's stories don't, not to say that all pains are equal, but at the same time, we deserve to be able to have our shared experiences valued in the same way that everybody else is. That was what I
100% agree with you. We all agree.
I'm just saying that was the frustrating part for me. It's just that we get. That's the best way to say it. We just get limited. That's what I say isn't fair. It's not fair that we get limited in terms of what's valued from us. We contribute a lot. Malik, what you got? Not to cut you off. You was looking at you.
I mean,
I'm saying, go ahead. I'm gonna try to.
Listen, I'm not saying these things don't exist. I'm not saying they don't exist, but they're either pigeonholed into one thing, or they're niched, or it's just like, it's like a small audience for that. Like, I want Blackish, and I want Insecure to be trumpeted in white media, black media, all type of media as much as Lovecraft Country. I can't get away. The only reason why I know that's the show because I see that. Huh?
No, unfortunately.
Hit or miss. I'm about to say.
I thought people.
Lovecraft Country. Lovecraft Country's got an hour. Insecure gets 30 minutes. Like, I mean, come on.
Did it get some awards though?
Not to say it doesn't get. Not to say that it doesn't.
So does Ballers 30 minutes. I mean, the fuck we can argue that shit.
My bad. Sorry.
I think it might have got canceled.
Good lord, that show was over.
No, I think that was just a season finale. It was
First 2 seasons pretty good. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry about that. My bad, buddy. Go ahead.
No. I'm just saying, man. Like, my biggest thing is, like, I agree with you, Aaron. Like, we should have more black representation in different genres of movies, but we also, I think, should be in the focal point is the black pain, because the only way you're gonna learn is by seeing it and showing it. And now you can see things are changing. I know it's not the change that we want, but it's this kind of the rough patch and the rough things that need to go on, and we're a part of that are going to shape hopefully our children's life and our children's life. You know what I'm saying? Like things like this. Like I read an article that you can choose. Like a high school is choosing that at 11th grade you can either do Black history or you can do U.S. history. In what world do you think that would have happened 20 years ago?
You know, there's good things in Black History, right? We did fun things, like nice
get
good
that.
In
things.
spite of what, though? In spite of what? Overcoming odds is our story, bro. I don't get what, like, why ignore that?
That's not what, like, that's
Why
not
ignore
what
that?
I had a thought.
Like, yeah, we're funny, we have good community, we have everything.
Why
Like,
can't we do multiple things? Like, why can't there just be funny shows?
I mean, I think there should be a show about talking about black adventures.
No, Martin, like,
or untold stories.
like
of black
is
people.
racism in the background of Martin? No, but it's fine. That's totally okay. Like, what are we talking about?
Okay, but these are things that have been done already. So what else do you want?
they should keep
We
going.
didn't get to talk about that back then, though. So now this is our focal point. When would it? I mean, like, there weren't shows on HBO, black shows on HBO. Only black show was Martin, and that was on HBO for a long
The
time.
Wire, which is about black trauma and drug use, made by white men.
Oh, so you admit that that's black trauma? That's the same thing as.
That's what I'm
Brotherhood.
fucking saying, dude. Like, shit. Like,
I get what Aaron's saying. I mean, I think black representation is very.
Black pain doesn't have to be the focal point of every show.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Like,
But it's not
he
the
deserves
focal point of every
basketball.
show, though.
I can't even say that anymore. But
it's not the focal point of every show. It is.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying.
But
What are you arguing? I'm just saying it's not the.
I'm saying the ones that are celebrated are. That's what I'm saying. I think the ones, the outliers you're talking about,
Because they're riveting, they're shocking, they're disturbing.
Well,
No, but look
you're
who's
just saying
look
that's
who's
the way
in
it
control
is.
of picking who wins and all that shit. It's not the
Well,
largely in the black
I would concede that if black directors weren't getting more and more power to make their movies now.
Now, yeah. So you're so like you
Tyler
saying,
Perry.
yeah.
He's brilliant.
Shit,
Tyler
thank you.
Perry
I'm
does a
glad-
great job.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought that
Love
up
it.
because those movies are shitty and they're sloggy,
But
but they
he focused
deserve
on
to
black-
exist.
Yeah.
They're just black
Yeah,
stories.
they do.
They deserve to exist. That's what I'm saying. Thank you for bringing that up. That was a good point. I hate all those movies. They're terrible, but they deserve to
Diary of a
exist.
Bad Black Woman and The Family That Prays. Two good ones.
Really, all this movie. His
I
shows
understand
too.
those
His
movies.
shows show a good like.
That's my opinion. That means nothing at all.
Yeah.
It means zero.
His live shows down
His shows on BET and all that too. The Pains, Meet the Pains, and all that stuff. They show black excellence and everything.
That's what I'm
too.
saying. That's great. That those deserve to exist.
I get it. No, I get what you're saying, bro. I get what you're
So,
saying.
but I'm just saying, like, so yeah, we fleshed out Tyler Perry.
Mhm.
So like things like that do exist. So why can't things like
That's not.
How many Golden Globes Tyler Perry show gonna win?
Zero, but they not good shows.
Tyler Perry
you just
won.
said you just said like you just said what they are. That's not. They're not.
But they're there though, right?
Me and Dante, I think me and Dante's argument is we should have more of them, and they should be applauded like the Black Trauma ones are. Those should be up for Oscar. I want a black comedy.
Me and Malik are disagreeing with you guys. You think
No,
you
you're not.
think
You keep coming back to Black Pain. That's what I don't understand.
Well, I mean, the black. Yeah, I get what you're saying about Black Pain being inescapable, and even what you're saying with what you're saying to an extent, within like these are the stories that need to be told. I guess that's why I keep saying we've told these stories for generations upon generations, and sometimes it's like we look for these things and we're just like, well, damn, the people that we really want to change with some of these stories, they do not give a damn about some of these stories, which kind of hurts you in the first place because
But
think
you
about.
gotta remember who's our audience though.
I don't give a damn about our personal stories.
Well,
either.
I mean, they don't. And that's what I'm saying.
That's why
I
that's
said give
I feel like there's a
America.
new generation coming, bro. I feel like yes, the people that we talked to before.
Change don't come.
I mean, it's like
Like,
hardcore racism.
the people that you know that we show roots to and we show.
All right, we gotta table this. This is getting too long. This is 65 minutes. God.
That we did 12 years enslaved, or I mean, not 12 years, like Roots and all those other black trauma stories.
Mhm.
They were going on deaf ears because they were going to a generation that was deeply rooted into it.
Can I jump in real quick? What's gonna change? Like, no one's gonna change from a TV show. I don't understand why you keep using that as a point.
So what's
Like, you're just telling the story, but that's not gonna make anybody, like, it's a movie. It's not gonna make someone not be racist about that or make them, like, I don't.
It's not about that.
TV show
It's tugging on the heart of somebody that
Can't say
possibly
completely
is not like quote unquote woke or
that.
is not exposed to that. Like I was thinking in my head, like I was thinking maybe a couple of days ago, I was like, man, like, can you really get mad at somebody like that's enclosed in just racism all their life? Like people that live in the deep south that just all they're around is just racism. All they know is just like not knowing a black person or not knowing all this other type of stuff.
In 2020, yes.
But I'm just saying, like, I was saying, like,
They don't know me and they hate me. So
but I'm just saying, like, can you really? Now I'm mad at you if you're not open to. learning that, but are you really mad at somebody coming to you like that? So
In
the same thing
in
applies
1965, I can see what you're saying. 2020, you have too much information at your disposal
To do what?
to be just.
I was saying, like, can you really get mad at somebody that's like just their community all of just racist? All you know is just racism or not opening your mind and everything. I don't really think so. I think that if you're not open to learning about it, then you have a
I
problem.
mean, you have a computer in your pocket at all times now. I don't use that excuse. That's not an excuse for me anymore.
I mean, I think
You know racism is
You
bad.
can look that shit up.
Yeah, I very interesting. In 1965, I can maybe see what you're saying. I still it, but yeah, not now. I get where you're coming from. I see what you're saying. Like, you don't know what you don't know, but I feel like you should know now racism is bad. You know what I mean? Like,
How have you been told every fucking day? Like, some people are just.
put it this way, I'm pretty sure people who know they're racist know that that's a bad thing. They just don't, like, fuck it. You know,
I feel like people who are racist don't think that's a bad thing.
Fair, yeah, I don't know, but with your point, I mean, I get the theory you're going for. I don't know if I subscribe to it, but all right, let's bring this one in. This was
a colorful and creative conversation. I enjoyed hearing everybody's viewpoints and perspectives. I value everyone's thoughts as individuals. And I like that we can all come together at the end of the episode as brothers and sit across from the table and be in some type of agreement that everybody learned something today.
I'm gonna flip this fucking
man, fuck this shit.
Yeah, man. It's me being a peacemaker at the end of the day. That's my job.
Yeah. So there's your mashup, Cole.
Oh, damn, we
ain't gonna end it like that.
I thought it'd be funny. You guys,
I thought it was gonna be funny.
I thought it would be a funny way to end. You guys,
Well, shit, fuck
you
that.
guys
I'm about to
ruined
fight
it.
these niggas.
You ruined
Log
it.
me off.
Sorry.
Yeah, I ain't got no parting shot anyway. Yeah, it's your man's on Louis DW here. You know, value all forms of black entertainment. Value all black perspectives.
Yeah.
It's your boy, aka Malik, aka Debbie Geegan Leak. My biggest thing is black story the black story needs to be continued to be told.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree that there does need to be more genres, more tropes of black stories, inclusive in Hollywood and mainstream media and TV shows. So.
This is Darian, aka Clark Kent, and my final touch is yes, I also agree. I think black representation is extremely important, and I really hope, praying, pushing for, fighting for to a time where racism isn't really an element of our experience. Like, we can just have those equivalents to the white experience of white TV shows where we can just enjoy ourselves, just a night out in the town, have a good time, or taking over the galaxy in an alternate black person Star Wars and all that stuff.
Have you seen The Circle?
Like,
Sorry.
Aaron, you are so disrespectful.
I'm sorry.
You're so disrespectful.
Yeah, what the fuck, man?
Malik re-scrolled the screen. Go
Why you
ahead.
snitching?
Anyway.
I try to give everybody some credit. Go ahead, Darren.
Anyway, in these are the Hentations. Make sure y'all subscribe and sign up and
Definitely listen to everything.
Follow.
Y'all go watch our fight on Patreon. Can they watch our fight on Patreon?
Patreon, yeah, definitely. We don't fight. 2-on-2 fight.
I'm gonna fuck one of y'all up.
Aaron disrespectful. You about to get slapped.
It don't really matter.
Aaron, get the fuck out.
Literally, Malik,
Get the fuck out.
Malik literally
It don't matter.
grabbed my phone and scrolled.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Damn, that's smooth.